Hello, my beautiful pumpkins, and welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, hello, my name is Kloee Taylor, and I believe that our channel is the most cozy, most autumnal, just beautiful, fantastic fall-esque vibes, and I feel like we're only going to get more amazing because we're encroaching into the fall season, at least where I live. And I am just so excited to have you here. So if you like my vibe, you like the way that I read, please make sure to hit that subscribe button, become a member of the Pumpkin Patch. And before we dive into today's video, I always like to remind those of you that are unfamiliar or are new or are thinking about it, we do have the Patreon where I put out exclusive videos. You get early access to these videos before they go live here on the channel. You get weekly energy reads every single Monday morning. There are exclusive pick-a-cards that you can't get anywhere else. Early access to horoscopes, journal prompts are going to be coming soon, and early access to podcast videos as well. So definitely make sure if you want to support my work or the channel or me, it's a great place to do that. So links for that is going to be down below. Now let's talk about this reading. I first need to give a shout out to Keynote Tarot here on YouTube. This is actually not my original idea. This came from her, and the reading that I listened to for myself on her channel was so impactful for me that I was like, oh my gosh, I need to bring one of these to my channel. So Keynote, I know you don't know me, but thank you so much for putting that content out there. It was so helpful to me, and I hope that through me making one that is very similar in style, we can help more people get in touch with their shadow aspect. So I will be linking Kino's video down below and in the card section. So make sure you check hers out as well. And I'll be tagging her channel as well. So definitely make sure you check her out. And again, thank you so much, Kino. I adore your channel. You're fantastic. But let's talk about this video now, this reading. So this reading is going to be about your shadow self. And we talk about shadow work a lot on the channel, but I haven't really ever dove into it so specifically. So this reading, I feel like, is going to be a really good jump into that. I'm hoping eventually to do an episode on my podcast about shadow work as well. Probably not until maybe at the earliest, like November, December, because I'm very scheduled out on that right now. But basically, this is going to give you an in-depth look at what is wanting to be healed in your shadow, why it's coming up, how you can embrace it, what is going to change once you embrace it, and then a few messages from your higher self at the end to kind of lift you up from this as well. So in today's reading, I chose to go with all amethyst crystals. So for pile number 1, we have this beautiful amethyst piece. It's more of like a raw piece. For this one, we have an amethyst druzy type. And then this is pile number 2. And then pile number 3, this one is this really cool, like symmetrical cutout of an amethyst that I think is just really cool. So I just feel like amethyst is it reminds me of like diving deep. I get that energy from it. Even though it is like the channeling stone amethyst, it often helps us to channel in messages from the divine. But I feel like there's something so depthy about amethyst. So I felt like it was just really appropriate for this reading. So if you would like to choose one of the crystals, or you just felt drawn to a pile, feel free to do it however you see fit. I'm going to go ahead and turn up the meditation music for you and allow you some time with the cards to make a selection. The timestamps will be down below for you so that you can jump straight to your reading after that. All right, pile number one. So we are first going to start off with these three cards, and we are going to be looking at what is wanting to be healed within you right now. So what part of your shadow is coming up the most? And then we'll kind of look at like the why and embracing it and all of that. So I also need to say that, like, also, sorry if you can hear my cats, they all are stirring from their daytime naps and there's jingly bells. So apologies if that's distracting. But I first want to say that the shadow aspect of self is the part of us that we tend to shy away from or not want to look at, because it's oftentimes the parts of us internally that have been very shamed into hiding. And so, bearing that in mind, what is coming up to be healed? We have the Ace of Pentacles, the Three of Wands, and the Eight of Pentacles. And I feel, pile number one, that what is coming up to be healed for you right now is, first of all, our beliefs about how money can be obtained, and your belief to actually create abundance is really struggling. And I say that because with the Ace and the Eight of Pentacles, both of these talk about finances. Both of these talk about our ability to have abundance, create it, and then also continue to perfect that and create it. And the Three of Wands, this is an innately very creative card that asks us to dream things into being. And so I feel like many of you maybe carry this wound that you are not allowed to create abundance for yourself, that maybe you wanted to take the artist path as a child and you were told that that couldn't make good enough money, you couldn't make your own way, you couldn't pave your own way. But I have something to tell you, pile number one, that not everybody, obviously there are jobs out there are career paths out there that pay extremely well with a degree. But I have to tell you that it is my belief that most of the money in today's reality, it's made by making your own path. Like it's yes, it's a little bit scarier. It can be riskier, but you can get to that place where you only work 20 hours a week and you're making $20,000 a month. Like, that is a possibility. And I feel like for most people in like a job system, because I feel like that's what this is. It's a belief that you can't create outside of the system that has been put in place, that 9 to 5 work, that having a college education. It's not believing enough in yourself or feeling like it is literally impossible for you to ever have something outside of that. And I feel like you always feel like you have to have like a back burner, or like not a back burner, but like a backup plan. Like, you really desire to be innately creative. You really desire to make your own path. And I think you've taken some steps toward it, but ultimately you always feel like you have to have a plan B. And that has to include something with more structure. And when I say more structure, I mean it has to include some kind of college education or some kind of job that you can do in the world that is promised. And something else that Spirit is telling me to tell you right now is that job security, and we've talked about this on my channel before, job security isn't even real. We think that it is. We think there is security in jobs, but there isn't. Companies go belly up all day, every day. Sometimes supply and demand changes. Sometimes we also have technological advances that make jobs obsolete. And there really is no job security. So it is in your best interest to create from a place of your own heart and to create and make a way for yourself that is putting you as the person that is, I don't want to say in control of it, because I feel like we co-create our reality with the universe, but it's going to be more beneficial for you to stop trying to force something that your soul inherently doesn't want. And I feel like you've seen a lot of roadblocks and setbacks as well, because you already know this information. You already know that there is a limiting belief here. And Yeah, let's move on to the next one. I feel like there's so much I could say about that, but let's keep going. So we have, why is it coming up for you? We have the Nine of Pentacles, the Hanged One, and the Three of Pentacles coming out for you. So why is this coming up? This is coming up because I feel that some of you are some of you feel like you have faced a really big mountain, especially with that Three of Pentacles. Like you have support, and I feel like you have an idea of some things. Like you have, isn't this so beautiful? You actually have two threes coming out. And I feel like with this deck in particular, the threes talk a lot about creativity. They really give me like life path 3 vibes. It doesn't mean that you're a life path 3 necessarily, but they all kind of have this like rainbow effect to them. Like we have the primary colors here, and they are connected by the individual colors that are made by those. And then we have the rainbow here in the middle as well. And I feel like you are somebody that really is innately creative. And it doesn't mean that you have to be able to draw or paint or sing. It can be creative in so many different ways. And I say this all the time, but humans innately do want to create. There is not a single person on the face of this earth that doesn't have a desire to create. And they maybe have shut it out over time, but humans are innately creative. It doesn't mean that everybody's an artist, but everybody's maybe like an artist of life, you could say. But I feel like the reason this is coming up is you feel like there is a mountain in front of you, and you really want to be on the other side, but you're paralyzed by fear with it. This is something that really scares you. You feel like this is like, how am I going to make it on my own energy? How am I like, maybe you're having a hard time making ends meet right now, and you can't even fathom how you could make something like this real for yourself. And so it's coming up because you are paralyzed. The Hanged One is all about being very like, you're put on a pause. You're in it. I feel like with this one in particular, it's you're holding yourself there. You feel like you can't make action forward because you're so scared that it's going to fail. But here's the thing. Failure doesn't even exist, pile number one. Failure isn't real. Failure only is real if we fall down and we stay down. That is what failure looks like. But failure isn't real. Failure is a learning process. And it's okay if you are paralyzed by fear, but know that you have choices. You're allowed to make steps to go in the direction that you want, even if you have to start super slow and super small. And then with the Nine of Pentacles coming out, I feel like many of you also really enjoy resting. Like resting is really important for you. And maybe you feel like every time you start a project or start trying to work towards something, you feel like, oh my gosh, I feel overloaded and I can't be doing this because I should be resting more. I need to rest more. And I feel like ultimately this is something that you need to put into your own model for creating your life. If you desire a life where there is equal amounts of rest, if not more rest than work, then design your life to be that way. Don't start. I feel like the Gary V's of the world, like no offense to Gary V, I think he's out there helping a lot of people, but I don't think it's the model we need to be going forward with. I don't think it's helpful for everyone. We have so many entrepreneurs out there telling people you have to work like 10,000 hours on your craft before you can be successful. And you have to work 80 hours a week and hustle, hustle, hustle to get there. And frankly, no, you don't. It's actually so much better when you get in alignment with yourself and allow yourself the space to work, but allow yourself so much more space to just receive. That can be the hardest part. That's the hardest part because it feels like it's so out of our control. But it's coming up because you're being asked to design the life that you desire to have and start with it now. It doesn't mean you start hustling, hustling, hustling. It's design your workload now. Design how you want it to be now and continue with that model forward, because what will happen is if you gain success working really, really, really hard, it will be impossible for you. Not impossible, because the word itself is I'm possible, but it will be harder for you to slow down in the future, because you'll feel like you have to keep that momentum going. So we also have now, how can we embrace the shadow self? Oh, this is going to make me cry. This is beautiful. We have for you the Star, one of my favorite cards personally, the Seven of Wands, and the Ace of Swords. Wow, that's power, baby. So with the Star, the Seven of Wands, and the Ace of Swords, how you can embrace your shadow self is literally stop dimming yourself to fit in. Stop dimming yourself to fit in. Stand in your own authenticity and speak your truth out loud. Because you know what? It doesn't matter what kind of truth you're spewing to the world. Somebody's going to have a problem with it. It does, like, this is something that I have found in my own creative adventures, in my, I see it with other people, other friends that are doing creative things in the world. There's always going to be somebody that doesn't agree with what you're saying, and it's not your job to prove them wrong. It's not your job to let them change your perspective. Now, sometimes we do need a shift in perspective, and we need that constructive criticism. But the unfortunate part of it is that when people start to try to dim us as we are shining our light as brightly as possible, sometimes we let too much of that inside of us and we start to carry it, when in reality, it's just their projection. And for you, you are on a path where it is important for you to express yourself fully. The Ace of Swords is all about going out there and speaking your truth. The Star is all about you being authentic as humanly possible. And the Seven of Swords literally talks about, like, look at this lit candle or lit stick in the middle. This is you literally shining as so bright that it casts the shadows away from you and allowing yourself to live there. So I also want to encourage those of you that are on a path of creating yourself in the world in this way. It's so important. Take this from one entrepreneur to another. This is my human self coming out, not just my channeling self. I always feel that I need to specify that. But always, 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 from the beginning, set boundaries with your work. This is something that I have been in the creative field since 2013. Actually, technically earlier than that, but that's when I really started to gain momentum and make it a career, was in 2013. And I didn't have boundaries with my work at all. And I'm realizing now, at the turn of my Saturn return, how detrimental that is to my mental health. And how hard it is for me to turn myself off. And so have boundaries with comment sections, have boundaries with how many times you look at social media, have boundaries, because you will not be able to sit in your own light and continue to shine it if you are constantly absorbing all of the darkness that comes with that. So really important that you take care of your spiritual hygiene, your personal hygiene as well, because that plays a big role, like making sure that you're taking care of your body in the way that you eat. Make sure that you are exercising. Make sure that you are doing things that help your body stay physically healthy as well as spiritually healthy as you're going on this journey. Because I get the sense that as you work on this shadow aspect of self and you allow yourself to shine, that's going to be the hardest part. Is you're somebody that really fears criticism and rejection. And it's probably because really early on in life, maybe you were rejected by kids in school or parental figures. And so we have this deep-seated fear of rejection and abandonment. And ultimately, you might even like post things and get a little bit of anxiety because you're constantly scrolling the comments to see if somebody's trying to cancel you. And that's a very valid and real fear in today's world. And Spirit is ultimately saying to you that you need to not make that the focus of your world. Your focus of the world actually needs to be more about you and how you can spread your own message, and not paying as much attention to what everybody is saying about it. Just be light, basically, is what I'm hearing. And that's how you can embrace it, is by setting those appropriate boundaries and allowing yourself to shine. And it's not going to be easy work. I want to make that very clear. Working with the shadow self is not easy. It's hard work. It's called work because it's work. This is going to be a process. Now, the next cards we have for you are how you're going to change once you embrace your shadow self. So we have the Devil card coming out. We have the Five of Cups. And we have the Nine of Cups. Interesting. Okay, so with the Devil coming out in a how will you change once you embrace this, I actually feel like the Devil comes as a really positive message. And I know that sounds weird because the Devil usually isn't overtly positive, but what I heard from Spirit when I pulled this, excuse me, oh my gosh, sorry, burping often when you do readings, if you're a reader, you know, like it's just energy moving, like, because that's what, like when you channel, energy has to move. So I apologize, excuse me. But the Devil to me is really positive in the sense that you're actually going to become very comfortable with the darker aspect of you. So comfortable, in fact, that like it's like you invite your devils to sit at the table with you. And this is a beautiful place to be because you allow yourself the space and the grace to truly embrace and see the quote unquote ugliest, which I would say most beautiful, sides of yourself. And other people don't typically do this. There's shame, there's blame, there's so many things that we will force down and push down, but you are simply opening yourself up to inviting that to the table. Not literally inviting the devil to the table. The tarot in the Devil card of the tarot doesn't even talk about the devil. It talks about like temptation and that, again, those darker aspects of self. And I feel like you are going to become such a more integrated person. The Five of Cups says that you also might find that you, if it was possible, some of you I can already tell are not going to like to hear this, but you may find that you also become a little bit more emotionally in tune. And I feel like you're somebody that already is, but it's going to make it even more so. Not that your emotions are always going to be overriding every single thing that you do. It's going to be more of a balance, and you're going to be more focused on the good in life from that experience and realizing that good things are able to come to you. Especially with the Nine of Cups. The Nine of Cups is pure manifestation. It's literally the card of manifestation. And I feel like when you start to embrace this part of your shadow, all of those things that you've been asking for, the break in your business, the idea that's going to be the $1 million idea, you know, those big breaks that you've been asking for, that's when it's finally going to come. So embracing this part of yourself and allowing it to come forth, you will finally get what you've asked for. Now, the last few cards that I have for you about this shadow work reading is this is so perfect. I love it. The last two cards I have are some messages from your higher self, your spiritual team, the universe, you know, just something kind of from just some extra like things on the journey to embracing this shadow. And we got for you the card Star Brothers, Horus Energy, Protection, Loyalty, Safety, and Trust. Let's talk about this one first, and then I'll show you the other one. I really like this card because many of you, I think, fear that the internet or like wherever you're creating, you don't feel like it's safe for you to do it. And this is actually a message that it is safe for you. You are not going to get canceled. Nothing bad is going to happen. Yeah, there are going to be people that disagree with you, and that's okay. That's part of the process. Honestly, your first hate comment, if you're somebody that's in YouTube or Instagram or wherever people can leave feedback, that's a badge of honor because it is literally like a welcome to the club. If people are hating on you, that usually, not always, sometimes we need a little reality check, but usually that means that we're doing something correct. But I feel like ultimately this is a notion to trust yourself. And I see that it looks like there's hawks on this card. Hawks might be a very specific symbol to you. Allow yourself to trust. Know that you are divinely guided and protected. And then we also have for you, this is so beautiful, it made me cry. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Tears are so healing, and I can just feel that some of you really need this message. It might make you cry too. Forge, don't follow. Pave a new path. Be the leader that you wish you had. I'm not even going to say anything about that card because I think it really is a message in and of itself. Forge, don't follow. Pave a new path. Be the leader that you wish you had. And that is what I have for you in this shadow work reading. I hope it was helpful. I hope it guides you on your path to healing and becoming your best, most vibrant self. Please do not forget, when you stand in your own authenticity, you empower everyone around you to do the same. Don't forget to check out my Patreon if you're interested, where you can support my channel and gain extra content while doing so. Also, my Instagram, my TikTok, new horoscopes went out on Instagram already for not Libra season, Virgo season. And if you would like to tip me for my readings, it is never an expectation, but always appreciated if this touched you and you feel called to do so. I do have my Cashapp, my Venmo, and my PayPal listed down below for you. And that is what I have for you, my pumpkin. I love you so much. Best of luck on your path. You've got this. Bye. All right, pile number 2, if you chose this crystal, this is going to be your pile. So if you didn't know, the shadow self is the aspect of us that we often kind of stuff down or shame, or it's the part of us that we don't always like to look at, that is not hard to understand, but it's there for a reason. It's often there to also teach us. And the more we can integrate and understand and meet with compassion, the better. So we're first going to start with these 3 cards, and this is what is wanting to be healed. We have the Mother of Pentacles, the 3 of Cups, and the Son of Cups. I am really getting big mother wound energy here, like you and a mother figure. This can be like a partner that is a mother, your actual mother, somebody that you see as a motherly figure. Or it could just be family. There is definitely a family aspect to this. It's almost like a parent kind of pitting you and a sibling against each other, or your parent choosing their partner over you constantly. Like, there is definitely something here about family and the mother. This could also be a shadow aspect of like yourself. If you are a mother coming through, that is about like you basically, like how you project that like you need to be a perfect mother or something. Like, there is this level of perfectionism that's definitely coming through. And it's also about how you mother yourself. Even if you are not a mom, how you gently mother yourself, how you intentionally mother yourself. And I say that because even with this Mother of Pentacles, I didn't even see it right away. We have these 2 deer. There's a baby and a mom actually together on this card. I don't think I've ever actually noticed that before. But I really get the sense that like you just wanted to be held, protected, loved, and you definitely didn't receive that early on in life. There was this, you kind of had all of these feelings, and with the Son of Cups, you had all of these feelings, all of these ways of like expressing yourself, and your parent didn't nurture that with you. They were usually very against you, couldn't understand you. And this made you feel like you needed to hide your emotions away more. And it also maybe makes you feel like it's hard to make connections with people that are genuine, because oftentimes in a wounded sense with the 3 of Cups, this can be 2's company, 3's a crowd. And it feels like maybe you have a hard time making authentic connections because there is this fear of possible like abandonment or rejection, which is really interesting because this came up in pile number 1 as well, but in a different way. But I feel like ultimately you're somebody that has a lot of emotion, which we all do, but you're somebody that maybe has a hard time expressing them, or like knowing how to do it, or feeling shame for having them. And next we're going to look at, why is this coming up? We have the Tower, the World, and the Daughter of Swords. Ooh, okay. So I feel like with the Tower and the World, these are both really big cards. They're both from the major arcana in tarot, and they're big. They're like, the Tower is often like an upset, like something is changing. And I think it's really interesting that I said, I feel like this wound that's coming up and presenting itself is about family, because look at the Tower in this card. It's a tree, a family tree, and it's burning. And I feel like maybe there is something about your family system or family dynamic that is not working. And ultimately, as you address this shadow aspect of self, as you address these dynamics that maybe they're really unhealthy, maybe they're very codependent, maybe they're toxic even, as you address these wounds, ultimately, you're not just healing yourself, you'll be healing like generations before and after you. And I feel like the world is really that. The world is everything. The world is you. The world is me. We contain multitudes, right? And the world is also about lessons and completing a cycle. And I feel like in your family system, or in like especially the mother wound, but it doesn't, if you have like a great relationship with your mother, it could just be a different family member potentially. But maybe it's even you are the mother and it's your son that you have a hard time with, or your daughter that you have a hard time with. But I feel like with the world, this is coming up because it's a cycle that needs to be changed. It ends with you. This is not going to, and I just got the chills when I said it, so I know I'm spitting facts. Um, but this cycle ends with you. You are the person that is going to change it moving forward, and nobody is going to have to continue to hide away in shame, to not have the space to freely express their emotions, to feel trapped, to feel pitted against, to feel abandoned or lonely. And I feel like ultimately with the Daughter of Swords, you are going to have to set some really strong boundaries here. And it's going to be tough in the beginning, but it's coming up because it's time for you to start setting those boundaries, because the Daughter of Swords is a master boundary setter. And that's why it's coming up. You're being asked to start shifting your boundaries with others, especially in the family system. Now, the next three cards, we're going to look at how we can embrace the shadow self. We have the card of Temperance. We have the High Priestess. And we have the Two of Swords. So with these three cards in how we can embrace the shadow self, number one, it is through deep patience. Temperance is all about our ability to have patience with ourselves, patience with the world, to let good things come to us. And if you'll notice, it looks like this bird is crying into a fire to kind of put it out. There is maybe this like fire within you that wants to change everything overnight, but ultimately you have to temper those flames. It's a slow building process. And the Two of Swords, this is also a lot about making really hard decisions. You're going to be met with people who don't agree with you. You're going to be met with people in your family, people in your maybe even friendship circles that do not agree with what you're trying to do. And ultimately, you're going to have to stand your ground, because this is almost like sparring to me. We have these two swords that are crossed, kind of going head to head. You're going to have to stand your ground here. And it's not going to be easy, right? Like shadow work is not easy inherently. Because oftentimes it's really deep-seated wounding that needs to come to the surface. And so as you're sparring to hold your boundaries, that's going to be just very important, having patience and holding your ground firmly. And then with the High Priestess, this is my favorite card in this deck in particular. It's like the reason I bought it was for this image. But the High Priestess says that you're literally going to be embracing the shadow self is embracing the aspect of you that wants a life that is more calm, centered, grounded, and compassionate. The High Priestess is a deeply feminine card, but it is also a card of intense power. and psychic ability even. And I feel like with embracing your shadow self, this is also a call to like maybe get a spiritual mentor. This could also be just getting into your own spiritual routine. So for me, I'll give you an example if you need something. When I went through my dark night of the soul in 2017, I used to wake up every day, cleanse my energy, do a few yoga stretches, a few sun salutations, and I would read my tarot cards for the day, every single day. And that was my spiritual practice. Then I would go outside, get some sunlight, put my feet on the grass, and then I would go back inside and start my day. Sometimes that would take me a couple of hours. Sometimes it would take me 15 minutes. It was whatever I felt in that moment. But I feel like you are being called with embracing your shadow self to come up with a routine that supports you feeling very grounded, because this, again, is going to take patience, work, and dedication, and standing your ground in really, I don't want to say tough situations. There might be like some arguments or upset, but ultimately you have to remain unbothered, basically. I feel like this High Priestess card is like the busy and unbothered, or like the relaxed and unbothered card, because it's literally this beautiful tiger just chilling. It's not ferocious. It's not angry. It's not about to bite your head off. It's remaining calm in tense situations. And that is ultimately how you will best be able to nurture your shadow self. If you judge every single thought and thing that comes up with this process, that is going to make it harder. If you fight it and try to stuff it down, if you don't remain patient or you let the feelings overtake you, that's going to be the hard part. It's a balance. And as you put that work into action as well, not just working on the healing of the shadow aspect, it's going to take real life action is what I'm hearing. So the next three cards are going to be how we will change once we embrace the shadow self. Oh my gosh, this is so, I'm going to cry. I cried in pile number 1 too. It's okay. Oh, these cards are just so beautiful. I don't know why I didn't do this reading sooner. I've been thinking about it ever since I saw Kino do it. Okay, I'll try not to cry about it. We have the 10 of Cups for you. Beautiful energy. Beautiful, beautiful. We have the 4 of Wands and the Sun. You literally could not have gotten better cards. Like, I'm okay. But how you will change once you embrace this aspect of yourself is, number 1, you're healing your family line. Like, the 10 of Cups is literally about family. It's about your lineage. It's about your deep connection to the people that are around you that support you. And with this coming up, literally look at all these ties. Look at all the strings that attach to other cups. It's like this beautiful connection, this beautiful thread that ties us all together. And you are literally going to be healing your family line as well as generations to come, which we did already talk about with the World card. But I feel like as you embrace this part of you, as you begin to heal and work towards it, you're going to feel better connections with your family system as well. You will feel supported. You will feel loved, cared for. And it doesn't mean that it's going to be blood relatives. Like, sometimes our blood relatives are just not the best for us, truthfully. Sometimes they are, but this can also be supportive friendships that have stepped in and become your family. And with the 4 of Wands, this is a celebration. You're going to be feeling like you're ready to celebrate life again with your connections. And the Sun, oh my gosh, this is like the peak of happiness. The Sun literally is joy, happiness, spontaneity, happy, positive transformations in your life and bringing things to light so that you can be set free. We literally have birds on every corner of this Sun card beaming out from the middle. And it's like you're finally giving yourself the permission that you needed to feel free. And I think that is a beautiful gift that you're going to be giving to yourself. I think ultimately this is something your soul has been asking for quite some time. And it's time to really lean into it. So the last two cards I have for you, pile number 2, are messages from your higher self. And again, I'm so sorry if you can hear that. My cats are around and one of them scratching at their cat tree. Soon I will be in my own office space and none of that will be happening. But I have for you messages from your higher self. We have child of the cosmos. The intelligence of the universe lies within you. So this again is about like that high priestess energy that we're seeing here. Child of the cosmos, the intelligence of the universe lies within you. You contain multitudes. You contain all of the answers you could ever already need. And with the intelligence of the universe and child of the cosmos, it's like you also treating yourself like a beautiful child of the universe, allowing yourself to remember that you are made of stardust too, and continuing this beautiful dance with the universe and allowing yourself to feel free in it. And then we also have for you the card of lifting the veil, questioning everything. Anything unaligned must go. Ooh, I feel like that's kind of like help on your path forward, is like, you're really going to get so in tune with yourself as you do this work that you will be able to see where your energy feels imbalanced, where things don't feel like they're in alignment with you, and everything that is unaligned with you will have to go. And it will be sometimes maybe hard decisions to make, but I also feel that you're also going to be opening yourself up to questioning even more of your shadow self. And it's going to lead you toward a bigger path of shadow integration and wanting to know more, to do more. And honestly, I feel like you're getting like an evolution of your own consciousness with this. So this is going to be such like a beautiful and blessed shadow work, I feel like. I mean, all shadow work is beautiful and blessed, but I feel like this is something that in your lineage has needed to happen for a very long time. And you are going to be the first. And it's like something your ancestors are literally like clapping and cheering that you have finally been born to take up this work. And it is going to be difficult, but ultimately you are going to feel better. And so will the people that surround you as you change. And that's something that in psychology, it's taught that when one person in the family system changes, literally every person shifts, even if it's only microscopically. So I believe that that is going to be the case for you. So that is what I have for you, pile number 2. I'm sorry. My cat is now insistent on chasing a fly. And when he chases bugs in the house, he like hollers. And that was him like screaming at the air. He's a mess right now. If you heard that, you probably did. It was quite loud. But that is what I have for you, pile number 2. Thank you so much for tuning in. Do not forget, when you stand in your own authenticity, you empower everyone around you to do the same. If you would like to tip me for my readings, I have my Cashapp, Venmo, PayPal listed down below. I do not expect that of you, but it is certainly appreciated. If you'd like to join the Patreon and support the channel and get extra content for yourself for doing so, I would greatly appreciate it. Link for that is going to be down below as well. You get so much stuff over there, extra pick a cards, early access, horoscope early access, weekly energy readings. Like, there's so much over there. So definitely check it out. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram, on TikTok, my podcast that comes out every Tuesday. And that is what I have for you. Thank you so, so much. I love you so much. Oh, and also, if you want any of these decks or like crystals, things like that, I also have information on all of that down below too. So that is what I have for you. I love you so much, pumpkin, and have a fantastic healing journey and a fantastic weekend. Hello, my beautiful pile number 3. If you chose this crystal, this is your pile. And we're going to be taking a look at your shadow self and what is coming up to be healed or what is wanting to be healed. And if you're unfamiliar with shadow work, it's basically looking at the aspects of self that maybe we often avoid or have been pushed down based on our life experiences usually. So the first 3 cards here that we're going to be looking at are what is wanting healing from you. And we have the 5 of Swords, the 6 of Swords, and Judgment. And I feel like this might be like past relationship trauma. I mean, this could be friendship or romantic because the Five of Swords is often about getting hurt, and sometimes it's by ourselves or by others. But I feel like in this deck in particular, because there is this severing that's happened here, I feel like this is somebody that you've cut ties with that created something in your shadow self that made you feel like you are unworthy of love or of kindness or of being seen as your authentic self. Because the Six of Swords, we are literally like, this is like going, I mean, the Six of Swords is usually like a journey of some kind and like an initiation period into a journey of some sort. I'm also wondering if like there is something about like a move, like something really set you off about moving, or there's something about moving and you're feeling very disconnected from yourself. And there's a lot coming up around this. There's a lot coming up around a move, or somewhere there's potentially also like somebody that you once felt really close to that you would always weather the storm with. I feel like it's a person. It's a person that made you kind of question your own reality in a way that it didn't need to be questioned. And Judgment normally is a very like positive impacting card of like rising above and all of this. But I feel like because right now we're looking at what is wanting healing, we're going to take that Judgment card extremely literally. And it's like judgment of self, judging yourself for your past actions, for walking away from people, for maybe, I also feel that like maybe some of you like literally cut ties with somebody and just completely walked away and didn't really even give, there was like, and like sometimes that's valid. Sometimes that's what we need to do is just cut ties and say nothing. But I feel like there is a lot of self-judgment. Like maybe I should have let them say something. Maybe I should have done it differently. But I feel like there's something that's tied to this, that this relationship has really left you judging and doubting yourself and your own abilities in a major way, in the sense that you feel like you maybe aren't lovable, aren't worthy of praise, or like, to me, this is self-esteem. There's really something with the self-esteem that's coming through, that you feel like you just don't have a lot of like self-assurance and confidence of self. And the shadow side of you is trying to bring that to your attention, that maybe because of a severed relationship, like I said, you feel that you are not worthy of finding good friendships, good relationships, or having people in your life that support you no matter where you journey to. And you constantly maybe even self-sabotage your own connections. And this is what is coming up and asking for you to acknowledge it, to work on healing it. So why is it coming up? We have the Father of Wands. We have the Eight of Wands. And we have the Empress. Ooh. That's so interesting. I also feel like this is mom and dad for some reason. Like I'm getting like Father of Wands and the Empress is like mother-father relationship. And I'm wondering if something that you saw in your parents' dynamic, or maybe you're currently seeing it, is reflecting this, of making you feel like you can't connect. Maybe it wasn't even something that you did. Maybe it was witnessing a past relationship, like witnessing a parent's divorce, witnessing people separating. And even if, let's say, for instance, this is like your parents, even if your parents are back together now and it's different, or your parents are split up and they're remarried and it's different now, oftentimes that stuff can still leave a lasting impression on our child brains because we didn't have the ability to fully understand what was happening or to cope with it in an appropriate way, because our mind couldn't even conceptualize how to do that, especially if we were really little when this came up. But I feel like it was kind of something that, like, I mean, there's also a lot of lightning going on here. Like, we have lightning in the king or the father of wands, and we have lightning striking the middle of these trees here in the eight of wands, or the middle of these wands. I feel like this was something, there was like an event, something happened. Maybe you witnessed like a fight between parental figures, or I'm really feeling that this has to do with you witnessing versus actually feeling it. I mean, it could be you also got into a fight yourself and like something really changed and you chose yourself over them, and that has been just really hard, and you've been afraid to look at the other side of that, that maybe there was some correctness in the things that they said, or maybe it's, again, you feel afraid to even get close to people or allow people in because you've seen how ugly it can get, if that makes sense. And I feel like, again, whatever happened, I feel like it was too much too fast. And it's coming up because it's something that is like wreaking havoc on your relationships with others. And it's something that wants to be addressed because ultimately, I feel like it's also blocking us from being creative and passionate about something, about going after what we desire. It's keeping us kind of stuck, if you will. And it's also keeping us from fully nurturing, loving, and accepting ourselves. So I feel like there's quite a bit in here as to why this is coming up. But let's get a little bit more information. So how can we embrace the shadow self? We have the Ace of Cups. We have the Six of Cups. Ooh, interesting. I love it. And we have the Eight of Swords. So I feel like with these three cards, number one, the Ace of Cups is about filling up your own cup, or having your cup be filled, giving yourself a lot of nurture, grace, letting your emotions bubble up to the surface. Normally, the Ace of Cups shows us a cup that's pouring over. So kind of letting yourself feel the emotion. And this is actually something that is taught in the realm of psychology, that if you actually allow yourself to fully feel an emotion without judging, without trying to hold it back, control it, predict an outcome, it's hard to do, but it's possible. If you actually allow it to come up, it really only takes 90 seconds of intense emotion to heal it and move on, or to not even like move on, but to feel through the hardest part and be able to move forward from there. Oftentimes it's us avoiding that causes this upset to stay with us. So I feel like ultimately how you can embrace this is to let your emotion bubble up to the surface. And with the Six of Cups, this is why I think it could be about your parents, or like a relationship that you witnessed, is because it left a lasting impression on your child self. And maybe you felt like it was your fault somehow. That happens a lot, especially if there's like divorce involved. That happens a lot to children. They will blame themselves. Or maybe you had a parental figure actually blame you for the destruction of their marriage, which is so inappropriate and not correct. And that is a result of an unemotionally regulated adult taking it out on their child. But the Six of Cups says you really need to get in touch with your child self. Because if you look at this image, it's a tree and then there's all these colorful roots, but it can also be looked at like a tree on the surface level, and then the past, our childhood, having a much more colorful approach to life. And so this is about getting in touch with your childhood, with your past self. And this is probably through like inner child work is going to be how you will embrace this shadow self the best. Because I feel like that's where a lot of it is stemming from, is beliefs that were formed really early on for you. And with the Eight of Swords, this is also about feeling like we have to protect ourselves from everything and everyone, and not allowing ourselves to fully bloom out and be seen. We're staying in the cocoon, we're holding still, and we're not allowing ourselves to come out and emerge and be the beautiful free butterfly that we are. So how we can embrace this is actually, believe it or not, going into the cocoon. I talk about this on my channel a lot, and we talk about the metamorphosis of the caterpillar to the butterfly because it is so beautiful. It's, we are the caterpillar, we go into the cocoon, we literally turn into goo because that's what happens. You reconstruct your DNA and you become this butterfly. And then as you're emerging the cocoon, butterflies actually can't fly unless if you helped a butterfly out of its cocoon, it wouldn't be able to fly because they need to gain the wing strength from getting out of their cocoon in order to fly. So I feel like how you can embrace your shadow self, number one, is nobody will be able to come and do it for you. This has to be a journey that you do on your own, and allow yourself to experience the winter of life is what I'm going to call that. The winter of life is where everything feels a little bit harsher, a little bit more bitter, a little bit colder, a little bit more, I don't want to say more dead, but that's the reality of the world we live in. Most places, not everywhere, but most places, the winter season, everything kind of dies before it can bloom again in springtime. And I feel like in order to embrace this aspect of your shadow self, you really need to churn inward. Allow yourself to become the goo, if you will. Allow yourself to go inward to become the goo and to open yourself up to really exploring your depths, allowing yourself to brim over with those emotions, allowing yourself to go back to that place. And one of the best ways to do inner child work, at least for myself, I can give you an example, is to imagine yourself at the age, whatever you were when this incident maybe took place that caused this. And imagine yourself now stepping through a doorway and meeting your younger self and telling yourself that you are here for you now. You will take care of you. Everything will be okay. And becoming that wise inner loving parent for yourself. You can also Google meditations for the inner child. I think that would really be helpful. And maybe even drawing it out, journaling it out, coloring it out would be a really good exercise. But those are some really good ways to embrace the shadow self right now. And then the next 3 cards, we're going to look at how we will change once we embrace the shadow. So we have those of you that play WoW, I just thought of or heard embrace the shadow for the Horde, okay? I'm just saying. Those of you that don't play WoW aren't going to know what the heck I'm talking about, but that's okay. So actually, let's put these cards. No, we can leave them over here. I'm going to put them over here. I think in the other readings, I put them over here. We're going to put these over here. And then I'll explain them to you. Oh, wow. Okay. So we have for you the Lovers, the 4 of Cups, and the 5 of Wands. And I feel like how you will change once you embrace the shadow of yourself. Number 1, the Lovers card. Are you kidding? A few things. Number 1, you're going to allow yourself to be loved by others. This is literally a pair. Also, the Lovers resembles shadow integration. It talks about embracing our shadow self, our own duality, and truly bringing your whole self back together. So I love seeing the Lovers card here. To me, the Lovers card is about shadow work. The 4 of Cups, this is often about feeling dissatisfied with what we have. And I actually think once you embrace this shadow aspect of self, it might cause you to be dissatisfied with your relationships. And it might make you want to make a change to have relationships that are more authentically aligned with you. That, I think, is what the biggest change that's going to come from this is you choosing relationships that are more fulfilling. And the 5 of Wands, normally this is a card of chaos, but I actually think in this placement, with it being something that will change once we embrace the shadow is we're not going to be afraid to upset people anymore. I feel like some of you might have some more people-pleasing tendencies and want to always make sure that everybody's okay and that their feelings are being heard. And I feel like maybe even anger is an uncomfortable thing for you. I can totally relate to this. Anger makes you really uncomfortable, but I feel like from doing this shadow work, because maybe you witnessed that original anger, from doing this shadow work, anger is actually going to become a natural emotion that demands to be expressed, and you're going to have a much healthier approach to telling people how you feel and what you think without being afraid that chaos is just going to ensue. So I actually see this as a really fortuitous thing in you choosing better for yourself and allowing yourself to have more freedom of expression. Now, we also have two cards to basically, this is like a message from your higher self, the universe, your spiritual team. And we have for you the card Earthed, learning how to be human in a world, but not of it. I think I'm going to pull the book on this one and then we'll look at the second one. I've seen this card before, but I really want to, oh my gosh, I opened the book and I flipped immediately to the right page. Fortuitous. Okay, so this is just the book that came with this deck, which the decks will be linked down below for you. We have learning how to be human in a world, but not of it. The challenge for all souls having a human experience is to be in the world, but not of it. To realize they are souls having a human experience and be fully conscious of it. To have their soul fully embody their body. People's personalities tend to relate to either transcendence or immanence. Those who lean toward transcendence have a longing for the heavens and the metaphysical. They yearn for a personal experience with God and to be lost in the heavens. They're envious of the angels and are more comfortable praying and hanging out in the stars than on earth. Those who tend towards eminence have attached themselves more to their earth body. They spend more time thinking about things in the physical world rather than connecting with the heavens or their own mystical inner worlds. Being a fully embodied soul having a human experience means finding the balance between transcendence and immanence, being in the world but not of it. Most starseeds are drawn towards transcendence. They're more comfortable with the angels and the heavens. Life on earth can be more difficult for them. If this is you, you're being reminded that you chose to be a soul in a body on earth, and you're being called to focus more of your energies in the physical world to learn how to be human, a soul in a human body, fully present to what life on earth has to offer you. So I think this is also going to make you literally more present with yourself and allow you the space and the grace to be more fully yourself. So great. And then we also have for you empathic starseed. Ooh, energetic sovereignty, absorbing what's not yours. So you may also come to find out through this process that you are an empathic starseed. I feel like those of you that chose this reading probably are, just in general. I want to pull the book on this one too. I think I've only seen this card like one other time. But let's read it together really quick. So empathic starseed, energetic sovereignty, absorbing what's not yours. Empathic starseeds are here to shift the world through their physical presence alone. They don't need to do anything beyond being here. Thanks to the energetic change their physical presence causes. Due to their highly sensitive nature, empathic starseeds can struggle with being on Earth and in a physical body. Many are prone to addiction and depression or tend to make other people's feelings and moods or mistake other people's feelings and moods for their own. Natural introverts, they tend to prefer spending time alone or in small groups. Crowds can be overwhelming for them. If this card appears, consider lightening the load energetically. Don't put yourself under such pressure to go out into the world. Be gentle with yourself. Allow extra time and care to recover energetically. If you're feeling pressured to keep up a certain pace, instead, put on the brakes and treat yourself like a precious baby. Do whatever you can to take the pressure of the world off your plate. Switch off to switch back on. In today's world, it's normal to feel that we should be doing more, but perhaps being present in our life is enough. This could be a phase you're going through or simply how you're being called to live your life. If your work involves giving to others right now, You're being called to keep something for yourself. You don't need to transmute it all. It's okay to look after your own growth and healing before feeling you should offer it to the world. Indeed, it's necessary if you want to continue to do so sustainably. So I'm going to let those two be messages within themselves today because I actually took the time to read them through the book. But I hope this reading helps you, pile number 3, and helped you on your healing path. Please do not forget, when you stand in your own authenticity, you empower everyone around you to do the same. And if you would like to do so, I do accept tips for my readings. I have my Cashapp, Venmo, PayPal listed down below. It is never an expectation, but always appreciated. I also have my Patreon if you want to support the channel and get some extra content for yourself. That is also available down below for you. There's weekly energy updates, pick a cards that you can't get anywhere else, early access to horoscopes, early access to these videos. They go to Patreon before they come here, and so much more. So definitely make sure you check it out if you have been considering it. It really helps me and my channel out, and I'm able to continue to do what I do because of it. And on top of that, do not forget to check out the Instagram, the TikTok. Virgo horoscopes just went out within the last week or so. So you can go and check those out on the Instagram. And that is what I have for y'all. The decks and where you can get crystals and everything at a discount, everything listed down below. And I love you so much, Pumpkin. Have a wonderful healing journey and a wonderful rest of your weekend. Bye.